In this video, we're going to be going over how to make a functional, like just open and closing door. So in this specific, this can be like the part one, we're going to be setting up so the player, walks up, presses E on it. It simply opens and closes, and you can start and stop this halfway through. So if you press E to open it, and it's on its way to open, and you press E again right now, it'll go back and revert to its closed state. And in a future video, I plan on kind of setting up so you must have a key and you can choose to unlock/lock the door. So if you unlock it, anybody can open the door, close it without a key. But if you lock it, nobody, unless they have the key, can open or close it. So we can go ahead and begin by by creating our class. So let's create a new folder. It's going to be an actor, and we're going to have it in our public, and we're going to create a new folder, call this one I guess we'll do it interactable. And we're going to call this one door base. Or actually just door, because we're not going to bother having a base class. Because there's not much to do when it comes down to making a door anyways. Alrighty. Now we have our door.h and CPP. We need to change the include. So it's going to go from public to interactable and door.h. Alright, give it until it sends a second. Well, it should be fine. So we're not going to have this tick, so we can get rid of the setup for ticking. Alright, you're still having issues. Maybe you have to go from the name. Or not. I'll just try to build and see if it compiles. Nope. That's out of curiosity. Yeah, same type of path. And there was no... yeah, figured. Forgot the quote. Alright, let's go ahead and build. And we are good. So one thing we need to do, we need to first off set this to replicate. And we need to have a function that simply toggles a boolean that is also replicated. Well, it's going to be an onRep. So when the boolean toggles, if it's true, we're going to obviously make it open the door. If it's false, we're going to make it close the door. And this will allow us to pretty much, we're not going to be doing it with any animation. We're just going to be altering the rotation of the door on essentially a timer. So actually one thing that we do need, obviously, is a static mesh. So let's make a new protected section. Just make it edit anywhere. Class, use static mesh component. Mesh component. We're going to use create default subobject to set it up. We need to include static mesh component. So include components. And include static mesh component.h. And then we assign the root component to equal our mesh component. Now we can go ahead and build, make sure everything's going well. All right, now let's make a public function. Call this one open door, so void, well actually let's just call it toggle door. Now we can create its definition. And then we need our replicated variable. So u property replicated using, call it bool b door open, and make our own function. It can be a u function because we're using replicated using. Call it, what would be a good name? I guess on rep just toggle door. That'll be fine. And create a definition for that. All right. So now we set our Boolean to replicate using our toggle door function. Now that we're getting into networking, we need to include net Unreal Network. Then we need to set up the actual replication. So I'm just going to copy our get lifetime replicated props to prevent typing all that. And what we're going to be replicating is B door open. All right. Then we're going to set B door open by default to equal false because it's going to be starting closed. Okay. Then we can build, and I'll explain what the plan is here. Okay, so when the player presses E, wherever we have our interact at, right, so when the player presses E, we can simply, I'm going to change this up and actually, no, leave it. If it does in fact hit a type such as the door, we're going to call server interact. And that's going to essentially perform the exact same line trace, but it's going to check and make sure we did in fact hit the door, and it's going to call our toggle door function from the server. So in here, we're going to confirm it by doing a role authority check. So make sure we do have authority. And this is going to toggle our B door open from false to true, from true to false. So it's just going to allow us to manipulate the door on the server. And then since this is an on rep and its value is changing, it is going to pretty much trickle down on the clients wherever the door is relevant. So this will allow us, so if let's say the door starts out closed, player opens the door, and then player 2 joins in late, player 2 will see that the door is open. Just like we did with our inventory chest. It's the same thing. So we're just going to do B door open equals the opposite of B door open. So this will allow it to go from true to false, false to true. It's just going to equal the opposite of what it currently is. All right, then we need to set up a timer in our toggle door. So I'm going to go ahead and include timer manager. And let's create ourselves a timer handle. It's a F timer handle. TH door handle. Just door. I don't know what to call it. Timer handle door. So what that's supposed to represent. And on begin play, we're going to set it up. So get world, get timer manager dot set timer, and th door. Then we need to make a function that's dedicated to this to have it call. So we're going to make a new function, call it rotate door. And this is what the timer is going to continually be calling. I'm going to put it right above our onRep. So it's going to be our class, rotate door. What is the next parameter? I think it's the delay. So we're going to start out as 0.1, and then I think it's whether or not it actually is looping or not. So we're going to put true. That should be fine. And I forgot a parameter or something, or I set it up wrong. So what is it for the timer? All right, so it's function. Yeah, that should be right. Oh, I'm an idiot. So that's got to refer to where it's at. So just set this as second parameter and you'll be fine. Now you can build it. And what we're going to do is we're going to immediately pause the timer. So once we want to modify it, or not modify it, rotate the door, we're going to simply pause and unpause the timer based on its rotation. So I'll just explain more when I get to it. So it'll hopefully make a little more sense. So we're going to get timer manager again. We're going to do pause timer. And we're going to pause th door. So that way it's not going to run this function right off the start. So we need to do if b door open. We're going to kind of lerp to an open rotation. Otherwise, we're going to lerp to a closed rotation. So when the onWrap toggle door is called, we want to unpause the timer. Simply like that. And all right, so the player walks up, presses E on the door. If the player does in fact hit the door with his line trace, the server is going to perform the exact same action, and it's going to call toggle door. Then it is going to change the door open variable's value, which is going to cause onRep toggle door to run on the clients where it is relevant for that change. This in turn unpauses the timer, which is going to simply run this here in a loop. So we're going to be kind of opening and closing essentially. And if the rotation is equal to the open rotation, we're going to again pause the timer. Whoops. So I think for now we're probably just going to have it open and close instantaneously, and then in the next video we'll make it do smooth just to make the videos a little shorter. And one thing I almost forgot, I don't think it does this in Blueprint, but in C++ when you do an onRep event, if you want it to run on the server, which we do since it's modifying the rotation of an object, we need to actually call the onRep event on the server. So this alone will allow it to run on the clients. This is what makes it run on the server as well. So the server, so it'll be open on clients, but on the server, it'll still look closed. And we'll probably just make it immediately open and close on the server so that way we're not having a continuous loop, wasting a little bit of performance. It's not going to make it really a difference anyways. At least it shouldn't. All right. So if the door variable is open, we want to set it to an open rotation. If it is closed, we want to set it to its closed rotation. So we can set up some F rotators. I want to make the first one a U property. Edit anywhere. F rotator, open rotation, and then F rotator, closed rotation. Then the constructor, we're going to set these to be nothing. So open rotation equals F rotator, 0 rotator. Do the same for our closed. Set that to be a 0 rotator. Then we want to set, so we're going to do this set actor rotation. We're going to set that to be the open rotation. And if the door is closed, meaning it's not open, we're going to do this, set actor rotation. It's going to be our closed rotation. Alright, and for now, we're actually going to because we don't have a loop or anything like that, to modify the, what's it called? The rotations to check if it's fully open or closed for when we make it open and close smoothly. We're just going to simply repulse the timer after it is set. So let's go ahead and compile, and we will give it a, well, we need to set up stuff in our character, but we're going to set it up real quick so we can do that. So go to our interactable on our door. We're going to create a blueprint class based off of it. Just going to call it BP underscore my door. Going to put it on our blueprint classes. I'll just put it in there. Yeah, it's fine there. All right, let's go ahead and give the static mesh the mesh of the door. So static mesh door. Woo. All right. Now we can drag this into our level. And you see here's our open rotation. So this is going to basically depend on which way we want it to rotate by default in our world. So we can have it rotate, I guess it would be inward. We would do negative 90. If we want it to rotate outward, we could do positive 90. So I'm just going to have it be positive. So I want to set the Z to positive 90, and that's it. All right. Now we just need to set up a way to interact with it. So remember what I said before with our interaction. We actually do need to include our door. So include public interactable door.h. Hopefully that's right. I'm going to assume so. And in our interaction function, there's so much crap here. Write an else if we cast a weapon base, not a weapon base, a door from actor, we call server underscore interact. Now, a much better way that I didn't even consider doing, but as I've slowly been kind of improving, this would be a lot better if we initially made a class that all this stuff derived from. So like anything that we can interact with would be derived from that class. So we could simply check, okay, does the actor that we hit, can it be casted to the base class that everything is derived from? If that is the case, then we wouldn't have to have all this extra logic in here. So I'm going to copy and paste it. Right below our weapon base, I'm going to do if a door equals and cast it. So we can do door toggle door, just like so, in our server function. And this should allow us to, well, open and close the door, assuming everything works properly. Now, for now, it should just snap open and closed. All right. Okay, nothing's happening. Oh, that also has no collision at all. Really thought that did. Let's look at, no, starter content. Okay, so it has no simple collision. I'm not going to make a collision mesh or anything. What I'm going to do is, if you come over here to the right, scroll down to collision complexity, set use complex collision as simple. And then if we choose simple collision, you can see it has the complex collision. Now this isn't exactly very efficient, as you can probably tell this is a little bit more performance heavy than a simple box, but it'll work for now. So now the door should actually have a collision to it. Let's check. Yep. So press E. All right, nothing's happening. Let's confirm that it is actually hitting a door. Then I'm going to do one more quick check. I'm going to do an else. Hitting nothing. And build. All right, so it's hitting the door. Let's check it on the server, just to make 100% sure. Okay, so it's hitting it on the server. So we screwed up somewhere else. So let's check our toggle door. I never set this to replicate, so that would probably be the main reason. So out of curiosity, let's just set it real quick. And I'm willing to bet that's why. So it was rotating on the server, but not the clients, because the on-rep essentially never did what it's supposed to do. Press E. Whoop. Yep, you can see it rotates. Let's check confirm on the clients, which it does. And no problem. Yeah, I need to just do an authority, but if we have authority, simply set it to replicate, and that's it. So let's just do one more final build, make sure everything's okay, and I'll explain what we did, and then discuss what the next video will contain. Alright, so we are good to go. So when the client presses E, we check if we can cast the actor that was hit with our line trace to the type of a door, being our class. If it is, we call our server interact function. And then in that, we go through and we, just like before, we perform the exact same line trace again and make sure that we do in fact hit something. And since we do, well, if we do hit a door, we're going to call our toggle door function. This is going to run strictly on the server via this check here. There's actually a new function now. I don't know if it's just introduced in the new, what's it called? The new version of UE, but called get owner role or get something, I don't know. So this might be deprecated soon, but we simply toggle our B door open, which is our replicated variable that's replicated to all clients, to from true to false or false to true based on what it is, because we are setting it to equal the opposite of itself. Now this line here alone will calls this onRep toggle door function to run. Now that will only make it run on the clients. So it may open / close on the clients, but not the server. Because of that, we need to call the onRep toggle door function manually afterwards to make it run on the server. And I'll just give you a quick example of what happens when it only runs on the client. So we're going to see it open, but as you can see, it's still got that fake collision there. And it also kind of like bugs out because the client has collision here, but the server has collision here. So the server needs to run it essentially as well. And that's really all there is to it. We're simply setting the rotation to what our open rotation is, and our closed rotation to whatever our closed rotation is, which was our zero vector. Now, I want to change this real quick and set our closed rotation. I want to do this on begin play. Closed rotation is going to equal, we're going to get actor rotation. So that way, if we want to, we can start off like this, and that will now start out as our closed rotation. And it'll go from here to here, here to here. So that is all there is to it. And I will see you in the next one when we expand on this and make it actually, well, open and close smoothly. So I'll see you then.